Crawfish Etouffee, my friends. This is a Cajun classic of crawfish that's simmered in a rich, flavorful gravy that is highly seasoned, very delicious, so huge on flavor, and it's one of our favorites. So let me show you how to make it. All right, to make crawfish etouffee, I've got a good-sized pan heated up to a medium heat. And there's a few ways that you can start a crawfish etouffee, but my favorite way, best way to my opinion, is to start with a roux. A roux is equal parts fat and flour. So here I've got 4 tablespoons of butter. And you can use oil, but today I want some buttery deliciousness with mine. So go ahead and melt the butter down in your pan. All right, butter is melted, and I have 4 tablespoons of flour. So it's equal parts fat and flour. And go ahead and stir the flour into the butter, and you'll form kind of like a loose paste. And that's your roux. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and cook this down, stirring constantly until the roux turns a nice dark color. What the color we're looking for in this case is more like a dark penny, dark copper, or like dark peanut butter, very rich color. So and make sure you're always stirring constantly. If you don't keep stirring, you risk burning your roux, and that'll just ruin the flavor of your etouffee. I actually have a video on how to make a roux with a lot more detail and information on different ways to play with it, and I'll put that link up top so you can check that out. So let's talk about the color of the roux. If you're looking for a more traditional crawfish etouffee, you want that rich coppery color, even starting to approach like a good brown color, almost like light chocolate. But realistically, you could go and cook it as long or as little as you want to. Some people like it with more of a blonde roux, where it's just starting to lightly brown and get a little coppery. That'll result in more of a thicker etouffee, but it's definitely not as traditional. You will build more flavor with a darker roux, and you could even go super dark, like the color of a dark chocolate, and that'll be more of a loose overall thickness of your etouffee. At the end of the day, it's really up to your preference. So if you decide you want to use a lighter or a darker roux, hey, it's your kitchen, your recipe now. Make it exactly how you want, because you're just going to love it. All right, make sure you keep stirring, my friends, and keep the roux from sticking to the bottom. And the amount of time that it takes for you to get your roux to the color that you want really will vary based on the amount of heat that you got going here, and maybe the temperature of the air. You just really want to go by the color, and it could take anywhere from 10 minutes to up to 20 minutes for some people if your heat's not high enough. The main thing is don't go too hot, because you really do run the risk of burning the roux, and you can smell it usually in the room. To me, it kind of smells like it's burnt popcorn, and that just kind of takes away, it's not a very good flavor overall, so don't burn the roux. All right, got some good color on my roux. And again, you could go lighter or darker if you want to. It's totally your preference. But this is a color that I like. And again, you're eating it, so make it how you want. But this is a color that I enjoy. So next, go ahead and add the Cajun Holy Trinity here. And I have equal parts of onion. I've got a good size onion chopped, and bell pepper, a average size bell pepper, green bell pepper. And a lot of times I like to use jalapeno for a little extra heat, or serrano. And celery, a couple of stalks of celery, nicely chopped. And go ahead and stir this into your roux. And once you're stirred in, go ahead and simmer for a good 5 minutes or so, just really to soften up the vegetables. It's going to build a wonderful flavor base. This Cajun Holy Trinity is really used in a lot of Cajun cooking, so as well as the roux. So this whole process can be used to make gumbos and many delicious dishes. All right, next I have a few cloves of garlic, some fresh minced garlic. Very delicious. And again, garlic's one of those things you can use really as much as you want to. I'm going to stir this in. Along with, I have about a tablespoon of Cajun seasonings. And again, this is another thing to taste, where you can use a couple teaspoons if you want to, or even less, depending on just how many spices that you want to have in your overall etouffee. And I use a homemade Cajun blend, and I can link to that as well. I have a little pinch of ghost powder in mine for an extra heat blast, but use your favorite brand. And I also have an extra teaspoon of cayenne pepper for a little extra heat and flavor. So go ahead and stir that in. Oh, and don't forget a bit of salt and pepper. Really salt and pepper to taste. And you can taste and adjust that a little bit later. So we'll go ahead and stir that in and let it bloom just a little bit, maybe about a minute or so. You can smell it. Deliciousness right there. All right. And I have 2 cups of seafood stock. So this is a homemade seafood stock. I made it by I usually save my shrimp shells and like little crab shells and such, and I'll kind of cook that down to a nice, delicious stock. If you're not able to find a seafood stock, go ahead and use chicken stock. Chicken stock works great, or vegetable stock works great. It's all pretty awesome. Or if you're working with whole crawfish, you can save all those shells and make your own crawfish stock. We'll talk about extra crawfish flavor. All right, we're gonna go ahead and let this simmer for a good 20 minutes minimum to go ahead and develop lots of flavor. And you can simmer this longer if you want to. You can cover it and let it simmer for quite a while, and it'll even get darker and rich with flavor. But again, this is just depending on how you want to cook it, how much time you want to put in. But a good 20 minutes will give you a delicious, delicious flavor. So, all right, let's keep cooking. Also, at this point, my friends, if you want a little extra blast of heat and flavor, add some hot sauce to taste. And you can do this pretty much any time in the cooking process, maybe at the end, or I like to simmer it in there just a little bit. And also another variation of this recipe, if you want, you can add some fresh tomato or even tomato paste or a little tomato sauce. I like a little tomato paste sometimes for a bit more of a Creole version. And you can use Creole seasonings, which are just a little bit different from Cajun, but super similar. But the overall flavor profile of the tomato, different, but very delicious. All right, look at this, my friends. It is smelling amazing in here, and this is a good color the way I like it. I like a lot of veg in mine. So next, I'm just gonna give it a little taste and see if we need to adjust anything. A touch of salt. Give that a stir. So really, you can adjust it however you need. Need a little bit more salt, a little hot sauce, a little extra pepper. Feel a little blooming spice. I love it. All right, so we're just about done here. The next thing we're gonna do is go ahead and add crawfish. I have a pound of crawfish that I ordered from Louisiana. This is prepared, it's cooked already. So we're really just gonna warm it through. You really wanna make sure you get Louisiana crawfish. It is the best. And Louisiana crawfish is just outstanding, especially when you're making crawfish etouffee. If you're cooking with raw crawfish, there's a different way to prepare it. But this recipe is just so much easier when you get this great quality crawfish tails from Louisiana. I love it. So go ahead and stir it in, and we're just gonna warm it through. And you can simmer for a little while here if you want to, but I like to just make sure they get nice and warmed through and let that flavor permeate throughout the overall etouffee. All right, while your etouffee is simmering here and warming through with the crawfish, you can use other seafood for this. I love to use shrimp, make a shrimp etouffee with this. It works with other seafood as well, and even chicken. But I also like to sometimes add andouille. It's just a nice little flavor addition. But you can really mix and match. But crawfish etouffee is absolutely one of Patty's very favorites. Oh, smells so good. All right, take it off heat. And go ahead and stir in a tablespoon or 2 of fresh chopped parsley for a nice pop of green freshness. Stir it in, and boom, look at that, my friends. Doesn't it look good? All right, let's give it a taste. Oh yes, I'm a lucky man. I better eat it before Patty steals it. Hey, if you guys are looking for another seafood dish that's Cajun and massive on flavor, you gotta check out my seafood gumbo recipe. It is delicious, and I hope you like that one. But definitely crawfish etouffee, just serve it over rice. It's one of my favorites, Patty's favorite for sure. If you like this recipe, I'd love to hear your comments below. Give it a like, share it around, and I do hope to see you in the Chili Pepper Madness kitchen next time. See you guys, bye.